Okay, so in this video, we're gonna put together our diamond ornament. And as usual, we'll go ahead and begin by just folding at the little score marks here to get this thing ready and in position. Just make sure that you fold all of the pieces at the score marks, because that's just gonna make the assembly that much easier. So go ahead and do that. And we will begin putting this thing together. It's actually very simple. There's two main pieces and the rest of it is pretty much embellishments minus the little tip at the bottom and the little segment that you tie your string to. Those are probably the most, quote, challenging, even though this piece is really not that challenging. So, almost there. Again, it just helps with the assembly to have everything nice and creased. Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead and do first is I'm going to connect these two pieces together. Okay, and I'm going to do that first off by gluing this little middle piece into place. Okay, so just make sure that you get enough glue on there so that it looks nice and seamless, and then just connect those two pieces together and hold that in place. Make sure that it dries nicely. Okay, and you can see that there's a nice curve here, and then up here it's flat, so you know which side goes where. Okay, so we've almost got that connected. I'll go ahead and put glue on this section here, and again, a nice amount of glue towards the inside part, and then a nice flat line of glue out to the edge, because we love those clean seams. And just tuck that back under and glue that into place. Make sure you've got it nice and perfectly aligned. Beautiful. Okay, and I'm actually going to begin by gluing the top segments first. So actually, we'll start in the middle. Now this tab is a tiny bit smaller, but still workable. So get your glue on there. Hold that middle piece in place. Gotta get that tucked in more. There we go. And just hold that in place like that. You can kind of nudge it if you need to, just to make sure that you've got it nice and aligned. And then once that's dry, we're going to repeat that process here. Okay, so again, nice amount towards the center and the inside, and then a flat line of glue towards the edge to get those nice clean seams. And just hold that down. Bam. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so we're just going to repeat that process again. We do have a tiny little tab here. Make sure that you get your glue on there. And pop that right in. And just be patient, make sure that it's nice and dry before we move on. So it's pretty repetitive, as you can see here, but I'm just going to hang out with you and do this with you to make sure that we get it done nicely. Okay, so there we go. So we've got those pieces pretty much together, okay, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of scoot over to this side here, and I'm going to put glue on this tab. And get that tab glued into place. Just hold that down until it dries nicely, or at least until it somewhat sets, and then you can go ahead and move on And just like we did a few seconds ago, a nice amount towards the inside, and then I've got my nozzle flat up against the paper so it doesn't come streaming out of there. And we'll just tuck that under. And get that glued in to place here. And we kind of devised a cool little method to make closing this thing up easier. And we're going to accomplish that by overlapping the final little segment. And that's just going to make this thing that much easier to construct. Okay, so we've got one more main piece here to get glued together. So I'm putting glue on this tiny little tab here. Okay, and I can already tell that I maybe put a little bit too much on there, but that's okay. I'm just going to wipe that off with my finger and get that tab into place, just like that. Okay, and our last one here. Again, clean seams by getting just the right amount of glue out as close to the edge as we can. And get that nice and aligned, like so. And just push from the inside and push from the outside to get those two sections to bind. Okay, and we do have one more section here that I must have missed. So we'll go ahead and get that glued down. Okay, and then I'm going to take my nozzle and just kind of smear some of that glue out to the edge. Just again, because we love those clean seams. Okay, and there we go. Close that up, like so. And at this point, you can still get your finger in there to hold that in place. And if you're having trouble, grab a dowel or a screwdriver or a pencil, anything that you can to kind of get in there so that you can kind of push down and make sure that this piece holds nicely. Okay, so here is where we've got our last little piece, and we want this piece coming out, and you can see how that works. Okay, so we've got one more little tab to glue down here. And now we don't need to worry about clean seams on this because this is actually going to be covered up. So just make sure that you get that nice and aligned. Okay, so just kind of push that down like so. I'm going to flip this back and I'm going to grab my handy screwdriver here and get that nice and aligned. Okay, just like that. Okay, that's pretty good. And then finally, so we've got these three pieces here. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to put glue on this entire piece here. And again, make sure you get some glue out to the edge so that we get a nice clean seam. And I know that I put a little bit too much there. So I'm going to wipe off a little bit of that excess and I'm going to fold that over. So one side's kind of double layered, if you can, yeah, that's the best way to explain it. Okay, and then we can go ahead and this piece is going to go here. So I'm going to put glue on this piece here, and again, let's get it out to the edge. And this piece here is actually going to have some decorative panels on it, so it doesn't need to be perfect. It's going to be hidden away. And while I'm holding that down, I'm gonna go ahead and put glue on this last piece here. And again, just get some glue out to the edge to make that nice and seamless. Okay, so let's close that up. Just like that. Okay. So there is our structure. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple, very pretty. Okay, and let me break out the final version here so you can see what we did, because at this point you do want to go ahead and put your panels on. Okay, so we alternated colors. Okay, so you can go ahead and glue these on. There is a nice little border that goes along the outer edge of this. So let me just show you a couple here. Let me get this glued into place. And again, just like we did with the other pieces, just make sure that you get some glue out to the edges so that this thing doesn't come starts coming away from our structure on the edges. Okay, so let's get that glued into place. Okay, and then this top one is going to go here. Okay, and then as you can see, we actually alternated colors. So we went dark to light all the way around. So your light one is going to go here and here. Okay, and then you're going to go dark, and then you're going to go light, so on and so forth. So that's actually very simple. I don't really need to show you all that. And then, okay, there is a tiny little tip at the bottom. That's this piece here. We did that in a gold foil for our final version. I'm showing it to you in AC cardstock. So all you're going to do is kind of fold and put glue on one of these sections and just wrap it underneath another section and just hold that in place until it's dry. Okay. And these are pretty much, this piece is pretty symmetrical. Okay, so actually it is symmetrical, so it doesn't matter which part is your top, which part is your bottom. Make sure that you have your panels on, and then you can go ahead and put some glue inside this piece. Okay, and just kind of slip that in to that piece there, like so. Very simple. Okay, and then we can go ahead and put our top on. So here's this piece here. As usual, we're going to begin by just folding everything at the score marks. Okay, and we do have a secondary piece here. You can put that on top, or you can put it underneath. I think I'd prefer that you put it on top, and we just added that for reinforcement. So you can go ahead and just glue that into place now. I'm not going to do that because it's pretty self-explanatory. And then we're just going to fold this around, and we're going to put glue on that little tab there and glue it to the other side. Just kind of hold it in place for a second, let it grip, make sure that it's aligned properly. And actually we can go ahead and fold this in half so that we can really add pressure to that little segment there to make sure that it holds that. And we can ensure that it's nice and even and perfectly aligned by folding it in half. And then we can just squeeze it back out into shape and fold these top teeth down, add your glue. And now before we glue this to the top of the actual ornament, you do want to go ahead and put your string through there. Okay, because otherwise after you glue this down, it is going to be really difficult. I actually tried it, and needless to say, it was not fun. So just make sure that you put your string through this thing now, because this is going to be permanently adhered to your structure, and it is going to be quite difficult to get off. Okay, so just kind of pushing from the inside here to make sure that that gets a good hold. Okay, and I didn't do a very good job aligning this. I wasn't very patient, but you will be. As you can see, there's my final version. Came out really nice. Okay, so that piece is ready to go. And what you can do, of course, your panels are going to be on here. we're just going to put a little bit of glue up at the top here. Don't need to cake it on, just a little bit. Okay, and kind of flare these out just a tiny little bit so it doesn't grab a bunch of glue on its way down. And you can just go ahead and get that in place. Okay, so there's the top of your ornament. And then finally, all that's left to do is put our little decorative piece in the middle. Okay, and all we're doing is we're taking these and alternating this fancy shape with this not as fancy shape. These pieces do have score marks. Okay, so you want to fold them out so they're sticking out like so. Okay, and what I would do actually is grab another piece here. Okay, and put a little bit of glue. Not on, see, this is my texture side. This is what's going to be facing me. I'm going to put glue on this side here and a little bit there. And this little tip here is going to be pointing down. So I want to actually glue these two segments together, making sure that everything is nicely aligned there. And the first two I'm going to do this way because I feel like it kind of gets everything going in the right direction. Okay, and that is going to get glued on like so. Okay, and then we're just going to join the rest of them together to have these little decorative pieces going all the way around our ornament. Okay, so there we go. Get it nice and centered. Actually, probably want to start with this one since you can see the top and the bottom of it. And then this guy will kind of fall into place, just like so. There we go. And then you can grab your next piece. Of course, again, we're alternating. And just fold those back. Put a little bit of glue on this piece here. And then I would begin by getting these pieces aligned perfectly, just like that. And then putting glue on the back of this structure, on the back of this decorative piece, and pushing that down against your ornament. Okay. So it's pretty self-explanatory, and then you're going to repeat this process with the next piece, okay? And that's going to go like that. So you're going to do that all the way around until your piece is done, and really that's it. So again, we did ours in a red for the main structure. These decorative pieces here are graphic 45 St. Nicholas papers. We used some white glitter that I inked in a red. We added all sorts of rhinestones. These are like kind of like copperish, amberish rhinestones, and then some gems here in the center. Gold foil at the bottom. I did ink the gold foil as well. And then if you can see here, I used gold liquid pearls to jazz these up too, and kind of added them anywhere and everywhere just to kind of really bling this out. So it's a beautiful piece, and that's it. And actually also in our video, or in our final, there is a bow that I created, and there's going to be a separate video for that, so look for that as well.
Stay on top of all things Dreaming Tree and engage with us today. Get the latest news and enter in our giveaways on Facebook. Get inspired by following us on Pinterest. Be the first to see our new product launches on Instagram. Do you prefer Twitter? Yep, we're there too. Watch our beautiful product trailers and assembly tutorials on YouTube. For more information, visit www.3dsvg.com. Live, craft, love, and dream.